what's up, everybody? Welcome here to a new venture, the Heat versus the World family. It's going to be Panthers versus the World. I'm Chase. I'm the co-host of Dolphins versus the World, and we're diving into the hockey streets now. And join with me. We're going to welcome him here for the first time is Jeremy. Jeremy, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm really excited for this podcast, and I can't wait for this for us to get started here.
Yeah, 100%. As always, shout out to the man behind the camera, our producer, Joel. He's joined with us here. Does a lot for us. Thank you so much. Please, first off, shout out to Heat vs. the World. Give them a follow on Twitter. Give Dolphins vs. the World a follow. And then we will see where this is going to take us. And could follow me on Twitter at ChaseSaul52. Jeremy, do you have any social media you want to put out there?
Yeah. So first off, I have a Twitter as well. I have my public one is Wadini, or spelled at WED3NI. That is it's kind of confusing, but this is how I made it. And then I have a YouTube where I sometimes post hype videos, which currently I have one going out for the Panthers right now.
I always love those. Those always get me fired up. No matter what, I'll be watching a lot of those here in the next few days before the playoffs get started. But so what this is going to be is kind of just our fandom. To be honest with you, is what I think it's going to be. We're figuring it out. We appreciate everyone for listening and coming along with us here. But I'll just give a heads up, as I said before we get started here. I personally have never played hockey. So I'm not too familiar with the in-depth play-by-play analysis, X's and O's. So don't know if you'll get too much of that here. Forgive any of my opinions if they're crazy. But yeah, we're just going to let it rip as fans from the heart, be passionate, wear it on the sleeve, and probably make some opposing fan bases upset if they give us a look.
Tampa could be the first ones up.
I hope they are. There's no love for Tampa. If you're a Panthers fan, I think we all would agree on that. So I kind of just will start off here. Kind of like how I'm a fan, and why I'm a fan. I mean, I'm from South Florida, a fan of all South Florida sports. When I was young, always went to Panthers games with my parents and family. We were very bad then, and the tickets were very cheap. So that's to every game. I remember being there when we were, winning not 10 games, but we were winning.
It felt like it, though.
It did feel like it. It's Sugar was there. That was the only thing that kept me going as a kid. But yeah, it was fun times there still at the games. And I always wanted to see a playoff series win. It felt like that was never going to happen. Then it finally did a few years ago. And last year, as we all know, incredible cup run. Didn't finish the job, but that's what this year is about. I think every Panthers fan knows the goal, and everyone, I don't want to say expects a cup, but is hoping for one. And I certainly know I'll be crushed if we don't have one. But how about you? How did you become a fan? What's your fandom like?
Yeah, I've been a fan since I was basically little. I started going to Panthers games. I liked hockey. First off, that was my first sport that I ever loved. I remember watching it, and really the only channel we could really. I lived like 2.5, 3 hours away from the stadium, basically. So I didn't really have the chance to go to too many games because I didn't grow up in the South Florida area. So I grew up watching sometimes Rays baseball games or Miami Dolphins games or something like that, and hockey was the first sport that I ever fell in love with. The first game I remember watching was seeing Antiniemi as a Blackhawk in net and everything. And it wasn't too long ago when that was going on, but I do remember the only channels we really got were the Panthers, and I kind of fell in love with the Panthers right there. And I've been watching the Panthers ever since. I remember going to Panthers games when I was little, going to them before they had upgraded the stadium and everything, and before when they had the little tiny jumbotron in there. And it was always fun watching. It was always fun watching them. It was a great experience. I remember going to the games. My first game I went to, one of the ushers is like, "Who's gonna win tonight?" And I was so unconfident with this team. I had no confidence for them. I was just like the Capitals, and so they all just like looked at me and were like, "This kid's not a fan." And so it was a rough few years when we were in our Panthers heyday of just losing games consistently. But we are here now. Bill Zito has saved this franchise, and I can't wait to see what else this brings us.
Yeah, 100%. It's honestly like just incredible from where we were. I mean, it was like 10 years ago now when we were drafting third and first and second and getting Barkov, Huberdeau, and Ekblad. But you look at the team now, you can't even remember those days. It feels so long ago.
It truly does.
It's just insane, honestly, to think about. Like I said, I remember watching the Islanders series and just being like just so mad. And I was younger then, and like I still get like just so bummed. Like I was devastated when we lost to Vegas.
I still have nightmares about that New York Islanders series in 2016. That still gives me nightmares.
I do too.
Barkov penalty shot.
John Tavares forever.
I couldn't. I remember watching it. I knew we were up 2-1, and I couldn't bear like seeing us get defeated on the road with us having such a good season, and I couldn't stand to watch it. And I was like, okay, I turned it off at like 2 minutes left in the game, and they tied it, and I was like, no, that was rough. That was a rough morning to wake up to us losing.
That's a funny story. Like I believe it was the Devils series game 6. It went to like double overtime or something.
Yep.
And I don't know how old I was, but I was like, you have to go to bed. Like you have school, like you can't watch it anymore.
I was little. I mean, I wasn't too little. I mean, I don't know how old I was either, but I mean, I do remember that. I remember little me going on some field trips and everything, and while camping out watching Panthers versus Devils, the series in 2011, and just everyone else being like asleep, and I'm just sitting there watching it just because it was just how I was. I was so dedicated as a fan. Probably my favorite game of all time was when I remember we beat them. I think it was the game, our first win on home ice that series, and that was such a fun series right up until it crashed down in overtime.
Yeah. If you're someone who is just watching this, you're coming from basketball or football, like the NHL playoffs are like nothing else. Like if you're not just going to watch the Panthers, like just give it a try. Watch all the games. Like just the passion, the intensity, like it's like nothing I've ever seen. Like the only thing that I could compare it to is honestly, it's like European football, soccer. Like the players are like living and dying. Like every shift, every hit, like every goal, you could just see it in their face. Like even just the last few nights, like the Detroit Red Wings fighting for their lives, and they didn't make the playoffs. But like you saw when these guys scored, like it's like nothing compares to the NHL playoffs. And like I just get goosebumps thinking about that. We're a few days away from it starting. I'll be watching every playoff game, like not just the Panthers, but like this is the best time of year to me. Like there's nothing like the NHL playoffs are just so entertaining.
It's easily the best time of the year. I talk to my friends about it all the time. Some of them don't even watch hockey, and I tell them if you're going to get started, you have to get started by watching the playoffs because it is the most intense atmosphere there is. And I fully believe if some of my friends just like watched a couple like playoff games, they would immediately like understand like when they're talking about, NFL has the best playoffs or MLB has the best playoffs and like NHL has it. And I think it's not even close to this point just because it's simply the atmosphere and the arena. If you ever get the chance to, anyone listening to this, if you ever get the chance, you need to try your best to see if you can ever get playoff tickets to a game. I didn't think I was ever going to get to one, and I got to one in 2022. And even though we lost that game, the entire game, the energy there was just unmatched. Like I've never felt anything like that. The stadium was unreal. The players were everything. The energy there was just amazing.
Yeah, I echo that 100%. Like if you could get to a game, do it, because like I even have goosebumps now just like thinking about it. Like, and then there is quite nothing like overtime playoff hockey. Even the playoffs make overtime hockey just look like nothing compared to. I don't even know how to really quite put it into words. You got to watch it. You got to watch it. Hopefully our rambling there maybe turns someone on, but yeah, if you haven't given it a chance yet, now is the time to get into it. I I guarantee you will watch it and just become invested. It's like nothing else. Like I really started to like the Panthers. I've always been a Panthers fan, but when they were going through their rough times, like I didn't watch as much. I'd always watch the playoffs, but then like since the pandemic, I've pretty much watched like every night that there's NHL on. I'll be watching. It's just it's a great sport, honestly. We can't do it justice talking here in 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, you truly have to like witness it with your own eyes.
Yeah. So we'll get into it here about the regular season and the playoffs, and these aren't going to be too long of episodes, but we'll just talk about kind of what's happened this season here to recap. Yeah, I mean, quite the finish to the regular season. I don't know about you, but I thought a week ago we had no chance of winning the Atlantic, and we were 100% playing the Leafs. And not that I'm scared of the Leafs or anything, but honestly, I did not want to play them because of how many Toronto Maple Leafs fans would be at the arena, and they're passionate fans, but I cannot stand when they're any team. Not this isn't Toronto, but I was so annoyed when it was Boston last year. Just like half the arena being the opposing team, and they're getting up every goal, chanting, doing the "Let's go our team." And
yeah,
South Florida fans aren't great at combating it.
no, I mean, I remember when we first got the taste of playoff success. Well, when we had first entered it, like the game that I went to in 2022, and the team was trying to get a "Let's Go Cats" chant starting, and halfway through it, half the arena lost it, and so there was one half of the arena doing it, and the other half was like delayed by like a couple seconds. So you would hear "Let's Go Cats" from one end, and the other said "Just got to Let's Go." So down here in South Florida, we're still trying to get used to this. We're new here. Don't belittle us just yet.
Exactly. We're trying. That's the one that like the in arena entertainment for the Panthers it's pretty bad.
Oh yeah, it definitely needs to get better.
The goal song this year is so bad.
oh no, man, I kind of I'm probably in the minority, but I kind of liked having like separate goal songs for each player, which is kind of cool. I mean, I'm also definitely in the majority of people who want # bring back sweetness.
You are. I was. I did not want sweetness, but it's a lot better than what we have now. I mean, I throw like not that this is going to get anything, but I think just "Freed from Desire." That'd be my goal song. I mean, there's so many. There's countless.
There's so many songs that could be better than what we have right now. Just like slight EDM / dubstep music, and then a "Let's Go Cats" chants in the background. I'm like, I don't know.
Ridiculous. It's I like they're trying. They're always trying, but they never can do anything good. It feels like the in arena entertainment.
At least when we had sweetness going on, we at least had Jimmy Eat World almost saying they would perform the song for us live, and I was like, okay, you know what? Let's just do that. If Jimmy Eat World's offering to do it, let's just do it.
Yeah, that's something. And then like there's so many other stuff we could talk about, but hopefully they make it better this year. The in arena entertainment. Like I said, they're trying new things, so I expect them to have some new wrinkles this year. But it's just never good. It's always ridiculously like.
I definitely have to give them credit because I think last year I didn't get to go to a game last year. One, the tickets were pretty insane, and two, I just didn't have the time to make it to a game. But from what I saw online on social media, I think Florida was performing outside of the arena. During the Stanley Cup finals.
For the finals, yeah.
So I mean that was a pretty cool addition, and also like the banners that were hanging that they're projecting off of during the opening of the Stanley Cup finals. I think that was awesome. I think they definitely upped it because they realized this is a Stanley Cup Finals. This is like a national stage. Everyone's gonna be watching this, I think it was great to see how I feel like the in-game entertainment just from looking at that online was a little bit better, but there is still a little bit for us to get better.
Yeah, like they do the pregame like drum. That's like something like I feel like it could be a bit better, but like I said, they're trying. I'm interested to see what they do this year. Not that makes any of a difference, but like you got to get the crowd involved. Like
yes, absolutely.
The home ice does matter. I'm very glad that we got it for round 2 if we make it, and we'll touch on the actual playoffs and the matchup here in a second. But yeah, I mean, like if you could get the home barn rocking, like it just makes so much of a difference. Like and like you said before, the atmosphere there, like that's why I like going to the games. Like the atmosphere there, like when it's going well, it's unmatched. Like I was there when Kachuk scored the game 4 winner to send us to the finals, and like that was the craziest sports moment I've ever seen live. I hope that can be topped this year, but that is going to be hard to beat.
Man, I remember, even though it happened on the road when Verhaeghe had the overtime winner against Boston,
That was awesome.
I had to say, I have a Ring camera inside of my house. I had to save my reaction just because I don't think I'll ever get that much joy from a goal or anything ever again. There's like very few moments where that happens where I'm just like pumped up like that, and like a Chuck winner was one of them where that was just it was insane. I think everything from last year it was crazy. So it was such a fun run.
Yeah, and I feel like we haven't talked much before, but with anyone, I can spend hours talking about the cup run last year, and I'll be watching, like I said, some highlights of it. I gotta get it in the right mind state, even though I'm not playing in any of the games. But I hope we make some new memories this year, and I fully expect them to. And anything else you got, or you want to kind of talk about the playoffs itself and the matchup?
Oh yeah, let's move on to the playoffs and the matchup. This is probably gonna be scary for us just because it's Florida, and we know who we're facing now, and yikes.
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, if you're new watching this or not aware, it will be the Battle of Florida officially in the first round, the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Florida Panthers, and there's history that we're all aware of. Still have yet to beat Tampa in the playoffs. It was definitely like the last few games it very much looked like we were going to play the Leafs, and then all of a sudden now we're going to be playing Tampa. Just one of those be careful what you wish for situations. I think you could tell by you talking and me talking, and any Panther fan, like we're nervous about this. Like they're the boogeyman. They're the big bad Tampa. They're not what they were a few years ago by any stretch. And if you look at this on paper, you take the team names out of it, the history and everything, I think everyone would be taking the Florida Panthers. But that's not the NHL playoffs. The beauty of the NHL playoffs are anything can happen. And I would not be shocked if we do lose this series. I don't think we will. I don't expect us to. But if we lose, once I get over the heartbreak and devastation of it, I'd be like, they're a really good team, and like I see like how they did it. Like this is not going to be an easy series by any stretch, folks.
I've talked to a lot of fans, and a lot of friends about this, and people were saying in the beginning when it was between us, we might be facing Toronto. Maybe we'll get the President's Trophy. We might be able to take on Washington or something like that, or whoever was going to be back there. This was like a month ago. And people were saying, you know what, we hate to say it, but we might have to face Tampa. And people were saying, maybe we didn't win last year just because we couldn't get over our demons. We didn't get to face Tampa. We didn't get a chance at revenge because Toronto won instead. And you know what? Maybe it is. Maybe it's maybe that's just some superstitious stuff, and maybe that has nothing to do with it. But this is for Florida. This is your third chance. And they say third time's a charm. And if you want to prove that true, you have to win this series, especially against Tampa. If you lose this series, you've lost. You're 3-0 against them now. I mean, you're 0-3 against them now in the last 4 years. That's a really bad look. The playoffs, all it takes is for one goalie to get hot.
Yeah.
The Panthers had that with Bobrovsky last year. The Lightning have arguably a top 5 goalie in the league still in Vasilevsky.
I think number one.
Vasilevsky has owned the Panthers his
Yeah.
entire career. If it happens again, it's it's a tough scene.
Yeah, I mean, so funny when it was 22, we beat the Capitals, and then it was game 7, Leafs versus the Lightning. And I was like, I wanted the Lightning to win that game so bad because I wanted the revenge. I wanted to beat them. I wanted to beat Tampa. And then, like, after we go down 2-0, they score the last second goal in game 2. I'm just like, what was I thinking? Like, what is wrong with me? Like, here we are now. And I think if you ask any fan, like, they want the revenge, like in any sport, obviously. But this is your biggest rival. I don't think that's any secret. Like, you want to beat your rival. You want this opportunity. And it's here. Like, this is why you play the game. Like, this is what every fan wants, you to go out there and beat this team. Like, I think behind winning a Stanley Cup, this is probably like the second biggest thing you could do as a Panthers player would be beating the Tampa Bay Lightning in a 7-game series.
I know this team is better than what it was last year, and I was definitely in probably the small 5% of people who going into the Boston series where people were like, well, this is a clown show. The Panthers are they're gonna get run out of town. It's not even fair for Florida. And going into that series, just based on what I had seen the past like week, 2 weeks of that regular season, I kind of had a feeling that we were going to win it. And more importantly, with how many Boston fans there are and how annoying they can be, arguably one of the worst fan base, not one of the worst, it's the strongest fan base. It's one of with Toronto and Montreal and all of them, it's one of the strongest fan bases compared to us, who are definitely smaller on the fan base scale, just because we're pretty much newer, to be honest. Compared to them and how annoying they can get, we really wanted that win.
Yeah.
And that's what made that's so much sweeter. Yeah. And that's what we're at right now. And it's not really comparable just because this is a whole different scenario where it was, the worst versus the best. And now it's kind of in Tampa. I know they have a wild card spot, but it's Tampa. Yeah. We know what they can do. They're still a very good team. They had some injuries this year. We did too, but not to the extent of that they did. They're still a very dangerous team, and so it obviously still worries me. But no other team gets this opportunity for a third time in 4 years to be able to defeat their demons.
Yeah, and I think you have to look at when you're talking about the series, the opening press conference of Matthew Tkachuk when he comes here, and I believe I have the direct quote here. It's like something along the lines of like, I hated Edmonton, but I hate Tampa more here.
Yes.
Like, they brought him here to beat Tampa, and like for him to get the opportunity, like he's already a superstar. Like, I'd say he's probably my favorite pro athlete, like in sports right now. I'm just coolest dude, humble, like awesome baller, like puts it all on the line, like just everything you want in an athlete, like gonna leave it all out there. And like just him getting the opportunity, Verhaeghe, who was on Tampa when they won a cup and couldn't even touch the ice, him to get this opportunity again, like Barkov, who's lost to them twice, Ekblad, who's been here forever, lost to them twice, Bennett, all these guys to get this chance again. Like, I'm excited for them. Like, they know what's at stake. Like, they have bigger goals than just beating Tampa. But like, to start the series off, I don't think you could have asked for a better opportunity to just galvanize the fan base and push on to bigger things.
Yeah, I think it's such a big step. And you know what? Maybe that was why we lost in 2022. We were obviously somewhat inexperienced because a lot of our team had not made the playoff up then. And when we did make the playoffs, it was just it was a small one because all we did was face Tampa that year. So we were obviously a little bit inexperienced, but we faced Washington, which was a much weaker opponent compared to Tampa, and even Washington made it close. So, I mean, right then and there, it was kind of scary, just the fact that I was like, I didn't have much confidence heading into round 2, even though we were the President's Trophy winners. We should have a lot of confidence. And, maybe that has something to do with it, with the fact that, we went on this run because we faced the best opponent you will face in round 1, and you defeated them. I feel like that does wonders for the entire team.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, credit, we're, again, supposed to be the better team and everything, and I think this is still a better opponent than we had faced in 2022 that can still give this team so much confidence and so much
Yeah.
just the ability to give the momentum on a huge run.
Yeah, that 100% would be what I agree with. And then if you look at the matchup itself, I mean, you talked about it earlier, but like I think the matchup against the Lightning begins and ends with the Panthers solving Vasilevsky. I was looking at the 2022 series, and we scored, I believe it was 3 goals. I mean, we only played 4 games, but we scored 3 goals in 4 games against him.
It's also worth noting too that we couldn't figure out the power play at all either.
And that's a problem for me. Down the stretch, it was I don't know what it ended up finishing, but I know going into the Leafs game, it was 2 of 29. I think a lot of it, this is kind of just me watching. Like I said, I'm not an X's and O's guy. I don't know. But like so much of the power play is focused on Reinhart in the center. And that's easy to take away when you know that's what they're going to do, what the Panthers are trying to do. And in the playoffs, that's not going to be available. So like the power play has to evolve. It's been a weak spot in all the playoff runs. I feel like the power play has let us down so many times and been like the reason that we lose a series. I don't know how to solve it. I mean, this is a different Tampa team. Like they're a lot thinner than they were before. So
yeah,
should be able to have success on the power play.
I think we'll be able to do better on the power play, especially now that we have Verhaeghe back. Verhaeghe is a huge part of that power play, even though he's not like a main guy on there. He was still a guy that could get to the front of the net very easily and who was able to snipe on the left side. So, I mean, having him back, I feel like he's a second option to Verhaeghe almost. Besides having Tkachuk, they definitely switched Tkachuk's role up in the power play. They used to just get the puck to him last year. And I feel like now teams are kind of figuring out that that's what they were doing, and now they switch it to Reinhart. But to be able to have the ability to have 5 guys in the ice at the same time who are all capable of scoring at the same exact level, besides Reinhart, because he's on another level this season.
Yeah.
When you have the ability to do that, it's a very dangerous power play. And as long as they can keep up that same work that they had in the regular season for at least a little bit, you don't need to go perfect in the power play. You just need to at least be able to score on it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. This series is going to be interesting. It's going to be a dogfight. I mean, so much like not to diminish anything the Panthers did or anything, but like in any Stanley Cup playoffs, like the team that's going to go far is like a team that gets like the lucky breaks. Like the overtime record the past few years is ridiculous for the Panthers in the playoffs. I don't think
7 for 7 last year, I think.
Yeah, that's scary to be that good because that's not going to last forever.
No,
obviously. So that there's a lot of things like going into this year that do scare me, but like so much of the playoffs is like just one or two bounces here or there. Like going back to last year, like Marchand has a clear breakaway in Game 5. And my life flashed before me in my eyes in that second. I thought I was going to be watching that go into the net and that'd be played forever for the rest of time. Especially Austin.
Heading into that Game 5, just as a quick thing, I remember heading into that Game 5, I was almost like, you know what, this game doesn't matter. We're going to lose the series. Whatever happens, happens. And then it was actually really close. And then they have the breakaway with like a second left. And I was like, this is going to be the funniest thing ever if we lose this game off of that bounce on the face-off, whereas to lose on that way. And Bob saved it. I was like, wow, I don't know how he did that.
That goes in, and the conversation we're having now is so different. And that's what's so crazy about the NHL playoffs. Like literally a bounce here and there, and everything's turned on its head.
That's another thing too, because I mean, we had so many good bounces that went our way. Some went against us, but I mean, we had so many bounces that went our way. Like, specifically in that Game 7 when Tkachuk went ahead and was able to get the puck from I think it was Ullmark and net. Yeah, it was Ullmark and net when he was able to get the puck and go ahead and put it in Game 5. And then obviously Game 7, you had Montour, the bounce that went straight to Montour, and he was able to one-time rip it. And then in the Toronto series, you obviously had the play that Reinhart just went around the boards and the goalie just was caught off guard. A lot of these times these are plays that shouldn't be happening, but they are happening. And then there was also time when we faced Vegas, and I feel like they got all the bounces because you had some miraculous saves by Aiden Hill, and then it completely switched over. And we were never going to win that series, it feels like, just based on the fact that we were so injured. But, sometimes bounces is all it takes for a team to go on a run.
Exactly. And that's like like part of the thing that scares me, especially the fact that they have Vasilevsky, because we know that he's going to stand on his head in this series. Like he's good to steal a game or two. Like I don't, if you're a fan and you expect us to like come in here and steamroll them, like you're going to be surprised when this is game 6 or 7. I don't honestly, like my prediction is Panthers in 6. And I think this Lightning team, like when we play them in the regular season, like you could see that they're just not the same. The thing to me that's a big question mark is in the past in the playoffs, or not in the past, but when we played the Lightning and they were cup champs, like we would try to start the issue. And that's every Panthers game where they're getting in scrums after the whistle, pushing, doing this, that. We kind of slowed that down against Tampa in this past regular season. I don't know if that's just because, like, you know, Tampa doesn't want to get into that anymore. They're older. But I'm very interested to see what's going to happen when we start getting in these scrums, how they're going to evolve to it, Tampa, because I mean, they're seasoned pros. They've been through the playoffs so many times. Like, we're not going to be able to get under their skin.
Yeah, they're veterans over there. They're all pretty much veterans. They're gonna have they're gonna be hungry just because they don't know if this is their last time. You know, they have Stamkos, who could be a free agent. That's a pretty big free agent for them to lose. Obviously, they still have Kucherov, and might even win MVP this year. He might win the Hart, but I mean, they're gonna be hungry. They want to get back to where they were. They just came off of a round 1 loss, and then you have us who are gonna be hungry too because they just came off a Stanley Cup loss. So it's going to be a very good series. I think if Vasilevsky is standing on his head, I think the Panthers will win in 7. If we get a look at Vasilevsky like we had seen a couple times throughout the regular season, we could be able to wrap it up in maybe 6 games or 5 games.
Yeah, I think that's both of us. I think this is going to be a longer series. But let me tell you, if this goes to 7, I will be scared out of my mind of playing Vasi in a game 7. But yeah, like I got Tampa friends. It's no love this week. These next 2 weeks, like it's war out there. But yeah, so final thoughts from me, and then we'll kind of just say how this will go moving forward. I'm going to go Panthers in 6. MVP of the series is going to be Carter Verhaeghe. I think he's just going to have incredible playoffs in general. This is a little bet out there for anyone who's interested. When it's available, I will be taking Verhaeghe to win the Conn Smythe at like a crazy number. It's going to probably be like 40-1 or something. I'm going to put a few dollars on that. Join or don't join, but that's my prediction. Verhaeghe, Conn Smythe, Panthers in 6. What about you, Jeremy? You got any final takes for this series, and we'll close out here?
Yeah, I think I like I said before, I think I don't think we're gonna see an off Vasilevsky, so I'll go ahead and I'll say Panthers in 7, and I think the MVP of this specific series is gonna wind up being Tkachuk again. I think this is his first time facing Tampa in a whole series, and if he wants to go ahead and prove that he hates Tampa more, this is his time to do it. So.
I'm already like fired up, got goosebumps just talking about the playoffs, the series with you here. It was a pleasure to do it. What we're going to do here, I think, moving forward here for everyone is kind of try to do a preview episode and a post game episode. Maybe sometimes they'll be blended into one. These will be around, I want to say around this time, 30 minutes, maybe a bit shorter. Depends how sidetracked we get. Try to keep it on the lighter side. And we'll just talk about anything here. Maybe give out a bet or two like that. I'm looking to more of the series odds, and I'll be betting them. So if I got anything I think's worth mentioning, I'll throw it out there in this. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited as can be. I will be there game 1, cheering. I hope it is a Saturday, so I can get real crazy. But thank you everyone for listening. Jeremy, any final thoughts?
No, that's pretty much it for me. I completely agree with everything with you. I don't think I'll be there. I won't be there for game 1. However, I'm hoping to get to a game at some point this series, and if I can, you already know I'll be going crazy in that. in the stadium.
I hope so. I hope all Panthers fans can make it out there. We need the fans there. Every seat's got to be red or the retro jersey, anything. Just no Tampa fans, even though there's definitely plenty of them in South Florida. But yeah, everyone, thank you so much for listening to this. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and hopefully we make a lot more of these this year, and then hopefully we can do this moving forward into next season and beyond. And yeah, hopefully it's a lot of bright days for the Panthers ahead. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Jeremy. It's a pleasure talking with you. Thank you, Joel, for being behind the camera, working with us here. And please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Give us a follow. We appreciate you. Thank you so much again from us at Panthers vs. the World. Go Cats.